polygamy does not know adultery. So you should.
Polygamy knows. I disagree.
Wait a minute.
Polygamy
Wait a minute.
If you are not 25, you have no business driving a commercial vehicle. The only person who can take your driver's license and retain it must be a police officer of the rank of inspector and above.
Using office hours to engage in social media is a ground for you to be what? Dismissed.
When you are raped, you can justifiably walk into any government hospital or a licensed medical facility for an abortion.
A will takes effect only after the person is dead.
Pure cocaine is not addictive. What is addictive is when it's adulterated.
Join the Law Express panel. This is every week as we delve into all these relevant topics.
Law Express, Mondays at 7:15 p.m. and a repeat on Thursdays at 5:45 p.m.
Hello? Okay, why?
Welcome back. The show is still Diplomatic Affairs, and my name is Harriet Nartey. Like I said earlier, we are coming to you from the studios of Pan-African Television right here at Abilimpi in the capital of Ghana, and that is Accra. Well, today we are continuing our conversation on tourism. We will be sharing exploits with you. We were in Morocco for, I think, about a week, and we learned a lot, and we met the very beautiful people of Morocco. We got to know about the culture, and we got to know about the business aspect of the country, and we are just here to share all that we learned on the ground with the authorities of our country. We want to see how we can exchange best practices or replicate some of the best practices that we witnessed in Morocco, Marrakesh, Rabat, and there's one more, Casablanca, a very beautiful city. We want to share all of it with you. So if you are looking, or in case you're already planning your next trip, a place to go and relax, chill, get to enjoy the culture, the food, Morocco should be one of the places, destinations right here in Africa. The north of Africa is full of magic. My guests are already seated. They are going to help us to do all the talking, and you can also be part of the show because we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So let's get interactive. Hello, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so hold on. I have with me Dr. Kofi Nyakopong, and Dr. Kofi Nyakopong is an emergency physician and a digital assets trader. I mean, he will explain it for us to understand what exactly. I know about the physician bit, but I'm still curious to know more about the digital assets trading aspect of his profession or what he does. And Doc, it's good to have you on Diplomatic Affairs.
Pleasure.
And I have my senior most colleague. We go way back from the days of Metro Television, and Abu is more or less like, you know, a shareholder when it comes to Diplomatic Affairs. I'm so happy to have him on the show finally. Abdullah Mohammed, and Abdullah Mohammed is a journalist with Metro Television. He is here to help us discuss today's topic as we look at tourism, how we can learn from each other and how we can promote our tourist industry or tourism industry. So Abu and of course Kofi, it's good to have you on Diplomatic Affairs.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, it's good. So what have you been up to since we got back from Morocco?
Well, I've been in the office working, attending to parliamentary duties. You know, I correspond for Metro TV at Parliament.
Right.
Day in, day out, we go to work and make sure that whatever we are assigned to do is done properly. So,
well,
apart from that, just expecting the next trip to Morocco.
Again? Interesting. Doc, what have you been up to since you got back?
Well, I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. So they say money is my favorite hobby. So I've been trying to
money is your favorite hobby.
Yes.
So you've been trying to make more money.
I've been trying to print more.
Please, I'm here in case
no problem at all.
When all the money, no, I'm not waiting for the money to be made, but I'm here. Exactly.
No problem at all. I
It's good to have you. Thank you very much for joining me on today's episode of Diplomatic Affairs. Now, since we got back, we've been chronicling our experiences in Morocco by sharing some of the beautiful best practices that we witnessed while in Morocco. And I know you have done a feature story on our trip, and it was well done. In fact, that is going to set the premise for our conversation this evening. So before we begin our conversation, video number 1, Abdullah's feature story is ready. Please, let's take a look at that story. When we come back, we will have our conversation.
Casablanca is Morocco's chief port and one of the largest financial centers in Africa. According to the 2019 population estimate, the city has a population of some 3.7 million in the urban area and over 4.7 million in Greater Casablanca. Casablanca is considered the economic and business center of Morocco, although the national political capital is Rabat. Leading Moroccan companies and many international corporations doing business in the country have their headquarters and main industrial facilities in Casablanca. Recent industrial statistics show Casablanca holds its recorded position as the primary industrial zone of the nation. One of the most important Casablancan exports is phosphate. Other industries include fishing, fish canning, sawmills, furniture production, building materials, glass, textiles, electronic, leatherwork, processed food, soft drinks, and cigarettes. 32-year-old Ghanaian businessman Adnan Sani has been living and working in Casablanca for a decade. He is urging Ghanaian traders to explore the opportunities in the Moroccan market, where goods are sold at relatively cheaper prices.
Usually the price of goods and services are relatively cheaper in Morocco, and it's an African country, so a lot of people when they find out that Morocco is actually cheap, they end up being surprised. And the reason that why Morocco is actually cheap is that, since I came here in this country, I've been here since 2010, and the price of a piece of bread has been the same since then till now. So people who import things from outside the country, they are able to do that conveniently, because even when they import a lot, they can keep it over a long period of time, and they are able to sell. So a lot of importers, what they do is that they bring things in huge quantities, and then they are able to, reduce the price and then and sell, because they brought it in a lot, and because the currency is very, very stable.
The city is well known for hosting several iconic buildings, including the King Hassan II Grand Mosque, which is considered the biggest mosque in Africa and 7th largest in the world. Overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, its minaret is the tallest structure in Morocco, consisting of laser beams, which points towards the Grand Mosque in Mecca, helping some 100,000 worshippers position themselves precisely for prayers. Constructed in the 1990s, the stunning King Hassan II Mosque is one of the most famous sites in Casablanca, constructed to commemorate the 60th birthday of the country's former king, and has now become one of the leading tourist sites in Morocco. Casablanca is pretty known for its vibrancy and extravagance. It has a plethora of tourist attraction sites, from gigantic buildings, modern infrastructure, and huge museums, to serene beaches and thrilling national parks. Are you a tourist, just like me, who is desirous of visiting a one-stop shop for all tourism attractions? Thousands of tourists troop into this particular facility to have a feel of what the Moroccan life is all about. Join me and let's go inside and see what they have to offer. In the heart of the city of Casablanca lies a green oasis with unique natural heritage. Spread over some 60 acres, Sindibad managed to reconcile respect for nature and urban architecture. The two coexist in perfect harmony, whether in the luxurious residential area that hosts as many villas, lofts, as apartments, or in the green zone, which consists of an amusement park, an animal park, and hotels facing the ocean. The vision of this project is to offer unparalleled living environment for residents, an unforgettable fun experience for visitors, and a haven of greenery for all.
I'm really impressed with the sights and the sounds of Casablanca. It's an interesting visit.
It's a wonderful experience, and believe me, anybody who is interested in touring, please try Morocco as one of your tourist attracted areas or city. Instead of going out to abroad or anywhere else, try Morocco. The weather, first of all, is very good. Economic situation is quite okay. The people are very sociable, and I had a wonderful experience.
The food is unique. Pricing of the food is excellent. Infrastructure is wonderful. As one of my friends said, we didn't find very many potholes. And the people are nice. We've had a good experience with most of the people that we came across.
The place is unbelievable and full of opportunities, and it was also a great pleasure receiving Mr. Abdullah right here in Muntaj. Everybody watching this, Muntaj, man, let's do it.
We're in Morocco, and I enjoyed myself from the airport in Casablanca to Rabat to Marrakesh, and you know, it's a very nice country, and I want to entreat everybody to visit Morocco. When it comes to business and tourism, they are on top of their game, and it's one of the best countries. It's high time African take advantage to promote African countries with tourism.
Here in Casablanca, sandy beaches such as this particular one form an integral part of the tourism potentials of this buoyant economy.
For international travelers, the bustling and vibrant bars of Casablanca sums up Morocco for many visitors as a haven for pleasure, relaxation, and a major tourist attraction.
Welcome back. You're still watching Diplomatic Affairs, and that was our feature story, Abdellah's feature story. When we got back, or since we returned from Morocco, he's put all the stories together. In fact, we've all done all our stories. This one I just decided to, start our conversation with, so we can get to have an idea. It's actually samples everything, bits and pieces. It captures everything, from arrival to when we got done with our assignments in Morocco. Well, my guest, my third guest is here. So I told you I have 3 people coming on the show today. Of course, I've introduced Abdullah Mohammed from Metro Television, and of course Dr. Kufinya Akupong, also a physician, and Radia, Her Excellency, she's our boss, Radia Adamasani, and she is the CEO of Muntaj Travel Limited. She will be telling us about her outfit's collaboration with the ambassador of Morocco here in Ghana, to do how they were able to facilitate the travel, and got journalists to join the trip, and we had a very great time. Radia, it's good to have you on Diplomatic Affairs.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Are you planning another trip?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
All
now
right.
hold on. Okay. Right, let me begin with Abdullah. You saw your story beautifully displayed on our screens, and that captured everything right from the word go when we got to Morocco, and your encounter with the country, the culture, the beautiful people, the food, and you just want the public to know Morocco through your lens, and I'm sure you have done a good job, and I know they will really appreciate you for that. Before we talk about, I would want us to zoom in when it comes to tourism. We'll talk about infrastructure. We'll talk about what makes Morocco's tourism sector, like way over the top, advanced? What did you observe on the ground?
So for me, I asked myself a question before I go to any country for tourism purpose. The key word here is tourism purposes. How is the infrastructure in Ghana? Like, what do they have that we don't have here in Ghana? How does their food taste like? What type of hotels do they have there? What type of tourism facilities do they have there? For which reason I need to pay money to Moon Touch or any other travel agency to go there? Those are the basic questions I ask myself. To be honest with you, I am particularly happy about this trip because it brought to bear what African countries, you know, who are even living under constitutional monarchies can do. This is a country, you know, far away in North Africa. And for me, I did not know they had, you know, developed to this extent until I heard about Morocco, that we were traveling to Morocco. I said, oh, wow, look, before I go there, let me just try and find out what the weather is like, what kind of food, you know, they eat, what kind of facilities they have there. And I Googled and did some search, only to realize that they are actually one of the fastest growing countries in Africa,
right.
You know, with one of the largest economies. And I am particularly happy that I was part of this. Trips we have, you know, explored outside of Africa, the places we've been to outside Africa to see what tourism facilities they have. I think in Africa here, if we really harness the tourism potentials we have here, we can at least get more people to spend more in Africa even before they think of going outside of Africa. So I am happy that I was part of this trip. I loved everything about Morocco. I love the food, I love the people, the warmth, the hospitality, you know, the scenery, and the transport system was something that particularly struck me, because if you want to run a country efficiently, you need to make sure that certain fundamentals are right. If you have a good, effective, and very fast transport system where you don't depend on, you know, just road network or traveling via buses or trotros or taxis, you are able to properly define and develop your rail system, your tram system, your domestic flight system. You can get people traveling in and not having to worry about, you know, the traffic management system in big cities like Casablanca, which is an industrial hub. And if you look at the story I did, a chunk of the write-up I did was particularly centered in Casablanca, because I spent about 3-4 days in that country before my colleagues joined me. And for me, that city really stood out for me as one of the best places I've ever visited in the, you know, in the world.
Wow, that's Casablanca.
Yes, Casablanca.
Now you mentioned something, and you talked about the system when it comes to the political system, or the politics in managing the country. You mentioned the monarchical rule, and of course our constitution, how it works. Will I be right to say that it looks like the monarchical rule gets things done than the other way of ruling our country, governance, the political system that we practice?
There are, as you know, we all did a bit of political science one way in school in Legon, and they will tell you that there are positives and negatives about the constitutional monarchy and what we are experiencing here. You know, decision making normally in that kind of setting is very fast, so that if the monarch or the king says that I want this, you know, facility erected here, in no time, there are no buts, there are no questions asked. Immediately people would have to get to work. But in a constitutional democracy like what we are having here, you know, it needs to go through a chain of command.
Right.
So in the end, it gets done, but you know, the time would have been spent. So at the end of the day, it depends on how you look at it, because at the end of the day, what matters is whether the issues of bread and butter, whether the issues of what a chunk of the country is yearning for, i.e. infrastructure, good healthcare, good educational system, what they want at the end of the day, do they get it? They are getting it in Morocco. So I think the king has really done well.
Is it not that, I mean, as we commend the king, the Kingdom of Morocco, of course, for leading the country and, of course, to the right direction, I think that all we need is a blueprint when it comes to development.
Yeah.
I don't really, personally, this is my view, I don't think that we need, it doesn't have to be the monarchical rule or the democratic rule, as in when it comes to governance. I don't think, do you think that is the problem? Because I think once we have a blueprint when it comes to where we want to get to as a country, we should be able to achieve, you know, what we aspire to achieve in terms of development, you know,
So
of our country.
I think in Ghana we have unique sets of challenges that we have, that has confronted us and actually worked against the larger interests of the populace.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we have the National Development Planning Commission,
right,
which for years has developed blueprints. We have a government comes into power, NDC
where they
or
boycott,
NPP, you know.
Yes.
Once they are exiting, you can be rest assured that the party that is coming to take over the reins of power is not going to continue whatever, you know.
Is that the main challenge for which we are unable to
It's
develop?
It's one of the biggest
at a very
challenges.
fast pace?
It's one of the biggest challenges because almost every CEO in this country who is currently serving under this regime, trust me, if the new regime comes, they are all living with their ideas, with whatever decisions they have taken, with whatever discussions they have advanced with other development partners. It's all going to be thrown
Why
somewhere.
is it difficult for us to continue with what they started? Just
Because
so
we are
we
practicing a
remain-
constitutional democracy where you are mandated to be in power for 4 years. It can be extended to 8 years. At the end of the day, you will have to pave way for someone to come in. So continuity in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of development, you know, there's a truncation along the line. So it makes it very difficult for us to really take decisions, long-term decisions. What we are currently doing is just taking short-term decisions, which in the long run doesn't, you know, really benefit or serve the purpose for which, you know, we wanted to serve. So we have a challenge over there, but I think Ghana is also getting there.
Well, Ghana is also getting there. We will get there. We just have to be, you know, up and running, and I think we will get there. Now, I will come to you, Radia. Before I come to you, let me engage Dr. Kofi Nyakopong. You have been touring the world.
Right.
Let me ask you, how many countries have you done so far?
I think I stopped counting when I crossed 40. Probably almost 50, early 50s, yeah.
You've done over 50 travels.
Yes. 50.
Where and
I mean,
where?
not 50 travels. The travels will be almost 100 because I go to some places 2 or 3 times. But
Interesting.
yeah. But I've seen almost every continent, from Asia, North America, South America, Africa, you know, everywhere. I've tried to be everywhere.
Now, let's talk about Africa.
Right.
Where in Africa have you been to?
So places that blew me away in Africa, I would say Mauritius, I would say Cape Town in South Africa, but then I was pleasantly surprised with Morocco. I was blown away. I really
You
was.
were blown away. I'm
really
still
was.
blown away.
Yeah.
Let's share with us your experience in Morocco.
You know, immediately we got down from the aircraft, okay, I felt, I'm like, wow. First of all, the weather was chilly. So that was the first welcome. It embraced me and I'm like, 8 degrees in Africa. So, I mean, it felt like, it felt almost European. Then we get down and then I'm looking at the transport system that takes us from the airport to the main city. And I was telling someone, it's just like Portugal. I mean, I had been to Portugal, Lisbon, and I couldn't tell a difference because you could tell that this was a deliberate, you know, act by the country to develop its infrastructure and everything, you know. So, I mean, right from the airport, right from getting down, the weather, the food, everything felt very, very European. Sometimes we are here and we blame North Africans and we say they are racist and, you know, they don't want to be African and all of that. And I tell people until you actually go down there, or up there in this case, to experience their culture, to experience their setting, it's very easy to be judgmental. I went there with an idea, with prejudice in my mind, and I totally changed that. Okay, so when we entered the hotels,
so they proved you wrong.
Absolutely, you know, when we entered the hotel, a Moroccan said, "Oh, the Africans have come." So I was like, wait a minute, are you not in Africa? But then you spend a day, 2 days there, and you realize that they are in Africa only by accident and by mere fact of geographical positioning.
But why
Nothing is African
why
there.
do you think they are part of Africa only by accident?
I mean, you know, they are even fighting to be part of the European Union and things.
Well,
because,
they had started
because there are systems,
right?
Okay, there are systems, and everything is so European. Okay, you could tell it's very, very deliberate. Take a look at Rabat, for example. That is their capital. Okay, you could tell there's a deliberate act to paint the city green. Okay, I mean, they're telling me they are making away with plastics. So it's a very clean country, a very clean city, very clean place, and all these are deliberate actions by the government or in the monarchy or whatever to make sure that the country is positioned in a way which is different. Okay, so it all starts with the mind. If we create a different mindset, okay, I looked at the economy and it's the 5th largest.
Right.
I felt very, very sad for Nigeria and Ghana. Okay, Nigeria, I mean, very, very huge economy, but I mean, you go to Lagos and Abuja and it's not exciting. There's nothing to write home about. But you look at what these people, and their population is just a little more than Ghanaians. So you look at what they've been able to do, and you really be, amazed by what, a collective effort or, so sometimes we think a benevolent dictator might be good for our case, for instance. So yes, the weather was great, the infrastructure was great, the culture, and they are very, very liberal. You could go to a street, and you see a mosque, a church, and a synagogue. Okay, so you have these 3 religious sects all cohabiting. Yeah. So extremely liberal people, very down to earth, and so you feel welcoming over there in Morocco. So I was really, really amazed.
And now, from all indications, I can tell that you didn't expect to see what you witnessed in Morocco.
No, not at all. Not there.
So this could have been elsewhere, but not on the African continent.
Very well. I mean, they have parallel parking with the ticketing system, and I'm like,
but why can't we stay as organized as they have been able to?
That is that is a very debatable point. Why can't we do things right? Why can't we?
Because it is not like we can't make it happen.
Right.
We are capable. We are more than capable.
So what is the problem?
I should be asking you that question.
I mean,
what are the challenges? Adela just shared his view.
Thank you.
The political, play out of things also contributes.
I was going to say everything starts with leadership. Okay, if you have a strong leader who comes and imposes his will and is given the mandate to develop the nation on a long term, and we trust him. Take for instance Lee Kuan Yew. He is, credited, singularly to transforming the economy and the lives of the people of Singapore. All it took was 1 generation, and he took them from a 3rd world country to a 1st world country. Okay, so if there can be such visionaries, Nkrumah was one. Unfortunately, he didn't live long, and So I think if we have such visionaries who are allowed and given the free will to do things right, because democracy, to be honest, hasn't served us well.
Can we be hopeful?
I mean, that's the only thing we've got. We can only be hopeful, because at the end of the day, if you lose hope, then everybody's going to say, well, things are going to be well, this, that. But then things can change. I believe that a generation is coming up who are, well read, who are also well traveled, who see what the mistakes of our fathers have been, and who are eager and are willing to correct these mistakes.
But do we have the system in place for them to be given the room to also contribute to the developments that we aspire to?
That's a very big question, because at the end of the day, people come with brilliant ideas, brilliant visions, and then they are stifled, and then they are opposed, and their legs are truncated and stuff like that. So we have to decide. Okay, there's a quote that, a country gets the leaders they deserve. Okay, which it's hurtful, because if you tell us, for all our resources, okay, Morocco just has sardine and phosphate.
Right.
Okay, and so
that's
for
all.
That's all. Sardine and fish.
Actually, phosphate. I would just say phosphate.
Exactly.
That's all there is.
And so for all our resources, for all the gold, the bauxite, the diamond, the cocoa, and for what we have to show for it, it makes you sad. Yes.
All right, let me just wake myself up. Now, Radia, before we talk about your collaboration with the Moroccan Embassy to facilitate our trip to Morocco, what's your view about the 2 systems in terms of governance, the political system looking at Morocco and, of course, Ghana?
Very well. Actually, I am
You
a
schooled
product
there,
of
you are exactly
the Ghana-Morocco relationship through the scholarship that has been in existence for almost 20 years now. I'm a proud member of GAMOSA, Ghana Moroccan Students Association. And so having lived there for 5 years, I have seen it all, the differences in everything in terms of infrastructure, in terms of transport, and in terms of everything else. And that's the reason why after studying tourism in Morocco and training in Morocco, I felt that organizing tours to many countries, there is no way I should not include my second home, which is Morocco. Because being a student in Morocco, my aim was always about how I could show Ghanaians the beauty of Morocco so we could see how they run their system in order to try to replicate some of these ideas in Ghana. And because of my training and my background in tourism, the president saw the need to appoint me as a board member of the Ghana Tourism Development Company, where we need to actually advise on the best practices when it comes to tourism. And so for me, I feel that it takes two sides for a country to develop, the citizens and the leaders. It's not just about the leaders developing a country. It is about the willingness of the citizens as well. If you observe, when you were in Morocco, you never even saw on the streets like kiosk and then roadside people selling things, bananas and then things on the roadside and all that. It's because of the discipline. Excuse me to say, I'm not saying Ghanaians, we are not disciplined. But the truth is that it doesn't take the king to beg people or announce to them and get their consent before they demolish certain structures, bad structures, in order to put in good ones. But if you take our country, for instance, even just take example of the Sodom and Gomorrah issue when they had to develop first-class infrastructure there. The people complained about where they were going to stay afterwards and all those kind of things. And so it takes sacrifice. And we, the citizens, we need to think about 100 years to come, 200 years to come, our generations to come. When we sacrifice today and develop our country, it is our great-grandchildren and our children that will come up and then enjoy it. And I think that Ghanaians, we just have to stop complaining too much and sometimes try to follow our leaders when they try to make certain decisions, because after all, we don't have to think about ourselves as individuals. We have to think of ourselves as a country and the development of our country. So for me, that is what I see between the two countries. Both citizens and leaders need to sit up and work hard.
Well, I like what you said about it takes two sides for a country to develop, which is the citizens and, of course, the leaders.
Sure.
That's right. You are very right about that. Now, let me give you a scenario where you have, like I said, again, I'll go to our system because we are looking at the monarchical rule and, of course, the democratic rule, our system of governance and theirs as well. That's why I asked Abdullah that why can't we have a blueprint? So it doesn't matter who is out and who comes in next to lead the country. At the end of the day, if we have something, we have a clear vision, we have a direction, we aim at something and we really want to achieve it as a nation. The sacrifice you talked about is going to be part of it. That's going to be a factor. You know, we cannot underestimate or underscore that. Just take that out, because that is key, as in sacrificing and not about ourselves or our own interest, but we look at the greater good.
Right.
Are you getting my point?
Sure.
So in this case, when you speak to the youth, my point is most of them have lost hope in our country. Most of them have lost hope. How can we begin to rebuild, trust, confidence, and hope that we can do it and we can get there? All we need to do is to be patient and perhaps believe in the leaders that we have appointed to govern the country.
All right. I think that you have shifted a little bit for tourism. So let's stick to the part of tourism. For tourism, actually, it takes private and public partnership in order for it to drive. I want to take this opportunity to let investors, people that have big monies that they actually invest in mines, they actually invest in
other sectors
of the economy. They have to begin to see tourism as a new gold, people think that every infrastructure that has to be put up needs to be done by government, but that's not really the case. Take the Sindibad Park as an example. It's run by a private
amusement park.
Yeah, the amusement park in Casablanca in Morocco. It is privately owned, and this alone fetches millions of dollars within a year to the government in terms of tax, and to the individuals who own the place. And so if we begin to invest in infrastructure, invest in tourism products in Ghana, I think that alone is huge development. And I've always said that tourism is not really about seeing the waterfalls and the mountains and all that. Come on, almost everybody have got such things in their country. Now the traveler consumption changes, the taste of the consumption of travelers, it changes. Now people just want nice, cozy place to travel to and have fun, take nice pictures and stuff like that. And that is where the aspects of the youth comes in. And so even the youth alone can actually drive tourism to the highest potential. Because when it comes to travel now, just go to an aircraft and count the number of passengers. The youth alone takes, anyone that is up to 40 years or 45 years, takes about 80% of the passenger volume in an aircraft, you know. And a lot of people travel for tourism purposes. And so when we begin to have that kind of interest, and we also see our country, we develop our country to an extent where people will feel proud traveling to Ghana, people will feel secure traveling to Ghana. It takes a lot to be able to go to a country. I don't think at the moment, even if anyone has a free ticket to go to Ukraine or Russia, at this very moment for tourism, and the person will have to go. No. Why? Because there is no security there at the moment. So it takes lots of factors in order to succeed when it comes to tourism. People want to go to places where internet facility is easy to have, you know, and all that. So there's a lot of areas that we have to touch on. And so like investors, they can come, CEOs, business people, you can reach out to me. I can organize and send you to great places like Morocco. Right now, Africa should be very proud of Morocco, because Morocco and South Africa should be somewhere. I'm not saying they've got it or they've reached there.
But they can be the benchmark.
But they can be the benchmark for Africa. After all, they're also aspiring to be like the Singapore and the Dubai and the rest. But when it comes to our continent, there are those we should also look up to. And so when we go there and we look at certain theme parks and we look at certain infrastructure in terms of tourism, and we come back to our country to establish those things there, I think that Ghana will also be a new subject to many people in their country, and they would wish to come to Ghana to see the wonderful things here.
Well, thank you very much for your submissions, Radia. Abdallah, let me come to you. Before we go out there, as she intimated, to invite investors to come into our country to invest, what are the measures, some of the things that we need to make sure are in place for investors to come and stay? Most of the time they come and they go.
All right, so Harriet, you would recall that some few years ago, when we got our acts right and we planned and brought in you know, people from the diaspora for the year of return, that was in 2019.
Right.
Look at the numbers, look at the amounts accrued by the state, look at the monies, the hotels, the tourism facilities, the hotels,
exposure it gave
the
us,
resorts, the beaches. Look at how much they made in that year. And up to date, we've not really, I mean, I understand that COVID has come to disrupt the world order, but I was reading some statistics that show that in 2019 alone, 13 million people visited the country of Morocco for tourism purposes. Imagine the GDP and how much they brought into the system. So I think there's a disconnect currently, like, to continue from where Radia stopped. If we are able to get the people involved and get them to understand that tourism, it's something that can really generate more than we have been getting from cocoa, from bauxite.
Is that to say that we haven't paid attention to tourism?
We haven't,
the sector.
And we haven't. You only you only prick your conscience when you travel out of Ghana. Because I go to a place like Sindibad, like she was saying. How is it that we don't have anything like Sindibad in Ghana? How much would it take? Because look at the amounts we are spending on building 6 classroom blocks in Ghana. When they come to Parliament for their accounts to be audited, look at the amounts we expend in building chips compounds and all those things. And we are not even thinking of, you know, what we can do to make people come here and stay, and you know, and boost our local tourism industry. So for me, We have a lot to do. You know, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture has a lot to do. I know he's embarked on some deliberate, very conscious efforts to make sure that we get people come, and even domestic tourism. How many of us travel to Zena Lodge and, you know, the aqua safaris? I know the issue of cost is also another factor we need to be looking at. So there's a whole lot of homework we need to do here, get our acts right, and make sure that even before people move out of Ghana to go elsewhere, they should be able to, you know, stay here, spend those monies here, and, you know, pump resources to the local industries and make sure that people in the value chain, people are able to make money to keep themselves running.
Let's talk about maintenance, the maintenance culture of Morocco.
I mean, it's pretty amazing to see what they've done. I mean, thanks to Muntouch, I mean, they organized a beautiful trip. We went to Marrakesh.
And we are going again.
Oh, really? And this time you're not going, you're not going with me, really? You know, Marrakesh had been on my bucket list for so long. And what actually inspired me to go on this very trip was a movie I saw on Netflix, The Old Guard. So that movie was, you know, shot in Marrakesh.
Okay.
So you could, I mean,
and
it tells you.
Reinventing Anna.
Thank you.
Also
Reinventing Anna as well. Yes, you're
exactly.
very right.
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful. I watched exactly. I
Yes.
watched that before I embarked on the trip. The maintenance culture. What can we learn from them?
So it tells you that there's been a deliberate act, okay, to preserve these ancient palaces. Look at Marrakesh. They have so many Bahia Palace, you know, the Palace of the Royal Palace and stuff like that. How are they maintaining it for so long? To even to the extent that they're inviting, you know, Hollywood moguls to come and shoot there. It tells you that they understand the value of or the impact that tourism has on their economy. Okay, so if you see substantially that, look, this is what, for instance, when you said 30 million people are coming, it's driving your GDP up. Results reinforce behavior. Okay, and so that is one thing we can learn from them. The maintenance is because they are seeing the results. It's benefiting them. You go to this place in Marrakesh where everybody is, and they are getting money. It's feeding them. You know, it's putting money in their pocket. So at the end of the day, why would you want to destroy something that is bringing value to your lives? Okay. So first of all, before we talk of maintenance, people have to see results. Okay, so when they believe that, oh, this is a good thing, it's easy for, I mean, you don't have to go to the biggest mall in Africa, which is one of the Casablanca one, okay, for you to know that, oh, they have a good thing going. Obviously, they've had enough income coming from tourism to be able to put up a huge mall that has a huge aquarium, you know, that also even brings people coming over and over and over again. So it starts with that discipline, it starts with a conscious effort in getting things done, and then when we see results, okay, it's going to be a positive feedback that will continue to, you know, reignite our hopes so that we can actually pull crowd and maintain it and push our tourism further.
Okay, so before I come to you again, Abu, I have put together our experience when we went to the Jardin Majorelle. Am I pronouncing it right? Yes, in Marrakesh. Jardin Majorelle. God, you need to see this. Take a look at this video.
It is not only magical, but it is also beautiful. You know why? Because all over the world, where tourism actually sells, gardening is an instrumental factor. If you go to Dubai, you have the Miracles Garden. If you go to China, you have other gardens. And in Morocco here, the majority here, which has a number of museums, flowers, trees, the bamboo trees that you see here, we have them in Ghana. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We only need to replicate best practices around the world. And Ghana will be fine. We wouldn't need to struggle to generate revenue. Consider the number of people who are trooping in here on a daily basis. They are dropping money into the economy of the Kingdom of Morocco. Ghana can do it. It's just a matter of commitment.
Abdullah, you have been traveling around the world as a journalist. What do you make of this place? This is Marrakesh in Morocco. Beautiful, stunning.
Yes, I think I will just add my voice to what the submission by my brother, that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have the natural resources in Ghana, we have the cocoa, the bauxite, we have rich, vast forest reserves. We have bamboo and all these kind of trees we see here. So it baffles my mind, and it makes it very difficult for me to comprehend why we are still lagging behind considering the fact that we were the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to, gain independence, and we have fought through with it. So I think there's a huge responsibility on the shoulders of our leaders to sit down, brainstorm, and really think of how to steer this country
this
beyond.
Is part of, bilateral relations between.
I think there's so much we need to learn, especially when we know that the relations between Ghana and Morocco
is solid.
So there's so much for us.
Guys, come with me. Let's go. Let's show you more. Like I said, this will be featured on Diplomatic Affairs when we get back home. It's beautiful, it's magical. This is money we are talking about. When we look at relations between Ghana and the Kingdom of Morocco, let's ask ourselves, beyond what we do at the government level, what can we do when it talks about sharing ideas, replicating best practices like my senior colleagues have already intimated? How much can we do when it comes to all of this? This place is beautiful. We have vast reserves when it comes to forests, and we have so much that we can do together. Let's begin to share ideas. We know that we have Thank you so much. This is all part of it. This is beautiful. So, come with me. Let's go. Hollywood. Right, so that was the Jardin Majorelle Gardens, and it was a beautiful feeling. It's connected with my soul, and I really want to go back again. Abu, let's talk about how much this place is generating in terms of revenue.
Yeah.
Did you see the number of people who visit on a daily basis?
I did, and for me, what...
And most of them are international tourists.
Yeah, and for me, what fascinated me was the fact that, the place was a one-stop shop for tourists. You could actually get in there, do your shopping, go to your restaurants, visit the washrooms, everything was in there. And we actually visited this particular facility in the last day of our stay in Morocco. So it's somewhere that if you are a tourist in Morocco, you really need to look out for this particular place, because it's a very exciting place. We had a lot of tourists outside there queuing just to buy tickets to get in.
Yes.
And I for once, I didn't understand why we had a lot of people, and I was asking myself, what is in there? Is it an amusement park? What is it? They said, you just get in there and see. And the ambassador was actually insisting we visit this particular facility before we left Morocco.
So close to your hotel.
Yes, it was just a walking distance. And
it's affordable to purchase a ticket and get in there as well. Now, right here we have Ibri Botanical Gardens. What do you think about Jardin Majorelle Gardens and Ibri Botanical Gardens? This is to say that how can we advance to this stage? We are talking about best practices. Right. We don't have many gardens, in the country, but we are looking at wooing investors to come in, and this is one of the areas that we should begin to consider.
Right. He has spelled out the difference. The truth is that everyone wants to visit a place of comfort. And so when you take Ibri Gardens, for instance, one should be able to go there and find many restaurants around. You should be able to find a lot of lovers' benches to sit and relax and all that. But I realized that when you actually go to Ibri Gardens, it gives you a lot of work to do rather than the amusement you get visiting the place. And so these are the factors to be considered and factors we should look at in trying to improve our tourism facilities. Right. You go to many tourist sites in Ghana, and excuse me to say, washrooms and all that is even a problem.
They're out of place.
And so instead of spending hours there having fun, you would just spend about 1 hour and you want to get out of the place. So it takes the fun away. Exactly. And so Jardin Majorelle, Jardin actually means garden in English.
Oh.
So yeah. Just like he mentioned, there are washrooms, there are restaurants, there are even shops to actually shop and all that. So basically, one can spend a whole day there and still wants to even stay there forever.
The more you stay, the more you spend.
Exactly, and the more it goes into the economy.
Exactly.
And so every garden is a very, very good place. So we just need to factor in things like that in. And I'm very glad that you've all visited Morocco and you're happy about the country. Actually, I always feel fulfilled when we organize trips for people and happens that way. As we always say, tourism is a two-way thing, inbound and outbound. You can't just concentrate on the inbound alone without traveling outside to see the beauty outside and try to bring it back to your country. So the first step to promote tourism in your country is rather to do a lot of, for instance, Doctor is very rich. In fact, he can decide to even build Jardin Majori here in Ghana, and that's going to improve tourism in Ghana. And you see how the chain pushes. So when people see us organizing trips to Dubai, Singapore, and things, they think that we've neglected Ghana, but that's not the case. Yeah. So,
Doc, we are wrapping up.
Yes, I mean, it's been an amazing opportunity to visit a North African country. I had been to Egypt, so I could contrast and compare and see that Morocco is, you know, a far pleasant, far lovely place. For viewers out there who would love to visit Morocco, make sure you go to La Mamounia. It's a very, very beautiful hotel. I mean, Kim Kardashian stays there when she goes to Morocco. Very lovely place, and I tell you, you will be blown away.
I'm sorry, how much were you given to run this advert?
$0.
No one can organize a better trip than
Exactly. If you see Mutaj, they're going to organize everything.
Final words.
Take it there.
Well, I think the purpose for which we decided to go was to see what we have in Morocco and also come and tell the story to Ghanaians who are desirous of, exploring not just out of the continent, but inside the continent, seeing what the beauties the African countries have to offer prospective travelers. So I recommend the country of Morocco through the Montage Travel and Tours to anybody who wants to go and experience what they have seen, what they have seen us showing on the screens. So I'm happy.
You're happy.
I hope
you're happy. Radia, when next? Is there another trip happening very soon? Because I've had lots of people contacting me. They want to go to Morocco. Tell me briefly, just 1 minute.
So we actually have our next trip on 22nd May, just next month coming. And so reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram. Just go to Montage Travel. You find our contact there and you reach out to us. We'll organize amazing trips for you. Let me use this opportunity to thank the ambassador of Morocco to Ghana, Her Excellency Iman Wadi. She's such a great pillar. In fact, I have always said that every ambassador, if they were really concentrating in promoting their country, marketing their country in whichever country they are serving in, this in diplomatic missions, that alone is going to actually I don't know how I'll put it, but their country is going to open the way for their countries. I think it should just be a main responsibility of every ambassador
to try to do the missions.
Exactly.
In other countries.
Yeah. But you know, many ambassadors don't do that. And so this ambassador, let's thank her very much for doing this. And visa process too, she's been so helpful and supportive, especially to Montage Travel. And we'd like to thank her for always paving the way for us to get the chance to do this together.
Right. I have so many messages. Unfortunately, here I am again trying to apologize. Forgive me, I can't take all of your messages. But Michelle Ichilin, I hope I got the name right, says, this is beautiful. Thank you very much. Yes, it says, my boss right there, Kofi Nyakopon. Kofi! All right. And then Idrisu Harriet. Okay. I don't know. We're great discussion. Thank you very much. We have so many messages we can't take. That's your friend. All right. Thank you very much for watching. All right. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your time on the show. And your submissions, of course. I'm sure we can have the opportunity to do it again. Abdullah Muhammad from Metro Television. Thank you so much for coming, Abdullah, who is a journalist. And then he's stationed at the House of Legislature. That's Parliament most of the time. And Radia Adama Sani. Radia, thank you so much. Moontouch, please contact them if you want to travel. Look for them on social media, Facebook, and of course on Instagram, and get in touch with Radia. You know, wherever you want to go, she can make that happen for you. And of course, Dr. Kofi Nyakopon. Doctor, thank you so much for making the time to join us on today's production. We are really grateful to you. And to you, thank you always. There is no show without you. So we are very grateful to you for your time. And I look forward to speaking to the Moroccan ambassador to Ghana very, very, very soon. So that would be the climax of our conversation with regard to Morocco. So I look forward to seeing you again next week, Saturday. Have a great weekend.